Hello girls. In the last class we have dealt with a little bit of grammar and that was transformation of sentences. But today in this class I will discuss with you something about composition. Number one would be paragraph writing and my second topic of discussion would be story writing. I know that paragraph writing and story writing, both these two things are very much easy for you because you have dealt with both these two things in your previous classes. But I hope that I will give you something more on these two topics, and these two topics will be dealt in with a little bit of elaborate aspects of these things, and obviously their writing too. So my first topic of discussion today would be paragraph writing. So what is a paragraph? A paragraph is a distinct section of a piece of writing beginning on a new, usually indented line. Thus, a paragraph is a piece of writing that consists of several sentences that present and develop one main idea, theme or subject. So this was about what is paragraph. But now the topic that is more important to us is how to write a paragraph. Okay? I know you know it very well, but still any topic that we know from our previous experiences and previous learning can be enhanced with a little more knowledge. So I am here to give you a little more knowledge about how to write a paragraph, how to deal with the topics of a paragraph, and how to frame your sentences in a more advanced manner at this phase of your life. So let us begin with how to write a paragraph. Number one is to think carefully about what is to be written. This point is the most important point, girls. To think carefully about what is to be written. To select the subject of the paragraph. Number two is to collect facts and ideas related to the selected topic. Yes, facts and ideas about what you are going to write. Then will come how to write it. Number three is to organize those facts and ideas in a way that will help develop the main theme logically. So not only the collection of facts and ideas will do serve the purpose, but you have to develop the main theme, and that too in a logical manner. Number four is to frame the paragraph in such a way that the introductory sentences introduce the central idea of the paragraph rather clearly. This is also important because introduction should cover the basic theme or the central theme of the paragraph you are going to write. And number five is the body of the paragraph has to be written coherently so that it explains, develops or supports the main idea by giving more information about it. The concluding sentence should clearly convey what is aimed at. So we have found in this discussion that the introduction and the conclusion both are very important while writing a paragraph. Obviously, in the middle, the body of the paragraph is also important, but introduction and conclusion draws the attention of the readers. Now, what are the kinds of paragraphs? See, paragraphs can be classified into different categories. Let us find out. Number one, on books and authors. Number two, on biographies. Number three, on science. Number 4, on environment. Number 5, on nature and travel accounts. Number 6, on autobiographies. Number 7, on sports and games. And number 8 is miscellaneous. So let us first deal with paragraphs on books and authors. How can we write them? What is to be thought actually about while we are writing a paragraph on any of the books or authors? Let us find out. Number 1 is, all can betray, but a book cannot. Books are constant source of joy and knowledge. They feed hungry minds. Very important and very interesting also. Good books teach readers how to deal correctly with various problems of life. Next is, life is short but art is long. So right choice of books is important. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. Thus the writer Bacon classifies books. And the last point in this is, books educate, inspire and entertain. They are a source of information and enlightenment. So in this category, we can find certain examples. Number 1 is favorite subject. Number 2 is my favorite author. Number 3 is my best friend, that is book. And number 4, my hobby, etc. So such can be some examples on this topic. Let us find out paragraphs on biographies. As we know, biography is a life history of a person written by somebody else. Great persons are teachers of humanity. All the sufferings are echoed in the hearts of the great men. Great men give us inspiration in our weakness, hope in our despair, solace in our sorrow, and light in our darkness. Very important. Great men often waged a crusade against the evil forces of society. And yes, we have found out that there are some certain Indians also who had waged, crusade against, rather they have waged revolution or rebellion, rather to say, against all the evil forces of our society in the historical times that we have found out. Now certain examples can be taken in this category. Number 1 is Swami Vivekananda. Number 2, Subhash Chandra Bose. Number 3, Mother Teresa. Number 4, Satyajit Ray. Number 5, Rabindranath Tagore, etc. Let us find out paragraphs on science now. Science, it is one of the most important subjects that we are dealing with nowadays, right? Without science, we can do nothing in this modern age. Let us find out what to write and how to write. It is surely the age of science, the age of computers, lasers, robots, and biogenetics. Science searches truth and discovers nature. Side by side, science works for the betterment of humanity also. Science encompasses and enriches modern life. On the other hand, science has given us nuclear weapons too. There is an urgent need for a break from the slavery of science. Science gives knowledge and power, but not wisdom. These points are to be remembered, girls. These points are very important for us to understand also. Now, there are certain examples which can fall into this category. Number 1 is science in everyday life. Number 2, science and superstitions. Number 3, merits and demerits of science. Now, number 4 category is paragraphs on environment. This is also one of the burning topics on which we have to really discuss about, on which really we have to think about something, because keeping the environment healthy will mean that we are keeping ourselves healthy. When we talk of the environment, we usually mean soil, water and air around us. These elements are linked to one another in a delicate balance. Today, this balance is threatened and jeopardized mainly because of man's greed. The environment has become heavily polluted with the introduction of contaminants in soil, water and air. We humans need to be more alert about the environment, as the healthy environment is for our benefit. So examples in this category would be environmental pollution, global warming and its remedies, etc. Number 5, paragraphs on nature and travel. Life is a festival we celebrate. Every moment is a new revelation. The woods are very fair to look at from without and seem full of singing birds and sweet scented flowers. There's music in all things if man has ears. Examples in this category would be number 1, a river scene witnessed. Number 2, an early morning scene. Number 3, a journey by boat. And number 4, an open air picnic enjoyed by you. So all these are related with environment. Number 6, paragraphs on autobiographies. Autobiography means life history of a person written by himself or herself. So examples in this category would be the autobiography of an umbrella. Very interesting, right? You have to completely imagine or visualize and think yourself to be an umbrella. Then only you can write about umbrella. The autobiography of a tree. You have to think yourself to be a tree and then you can write about that tree. The autobiography of a coin. Very interesting. So writing an autobiography is really very creative and imaginative. Number 7 is paragraphs on sports and games. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Play encourages children to participate, socialize, cooperate and team up. Play allows children to experiment with situations and toughens them up physically and mentally. Examples in this category would be my favorite game, a cricket match that you have enjoyed, my favorite player. And last but not the least comes the miscellaneous section, and in this I would like to give you certain examples for you to deal with or discuss amongst yourselves and within yourself rather, and you can. Examples are number 1, friendship. Number 2, duties and responsibilities of a student. Number 3, the night before an examination. Number 4, role of media in the present day world. Number 5 is the place of women in our society. Number 6 is importance of English as a language. And number 7 is the curse of communalism, etc. So there are many topics, girls, that we can include in this miscellaneous section. Okay, so now I'm giving you a little very small exercise to do. Number 1 is why one should study literature. This is the topic. Okay, the points to be incorporated are: what is literature, its impact on the readers, characteristics of various genres of literature, benefits, a reader must be choosy, and conclusion. Number 2, a sunset seen by you. Very interesting and perhaps a magical topic. Points: introduction, description of the scene, your feeling, and conclusion. Number 3, a walk in the rain. Beautiful, isn't it? Points: introduction, condition of the sky, rain started, ran to the rain, description of the rain falling, the surroundings, and conclusion. So these are the certain topics that I would like you to write in your notebooks at home for practice. So this was all about your paragraph writing, girls. Now let us move on to another topic that I'm going to deal with today, is story writing. Story writing. Story is a narrative tale that gives an account of imaginary or past events. Okay? Stories are loved by us. Stories have some conventions to follow also. Needless to say, imagination is a crucial factor in writing stories. So you have perhaps dealt with this story writing topic in your previous classes, right? Perhaps you have started it from class 8, right? So this may be very convenient and easy for you to deal with, but still I would like you to know it in an explanatory manner, right? So now I shall deal with how to write a story.
Okay, because why I am dealing with it in an explained manner? Because see girls, what you have learned is okay in the previous classes, and what you are going to learn in this class is also okay. But the standard of writing or the style of writing or whatever our bodies are going to write has to be different from that of the previous classes. Okay, so now let us find out and let us learn once again how to write a story. Number one, a story must not be too big or too small, right? So in this class also you will be having a word limit, of course, and that is 150 to 200 words. Any writing, it may be a paragraph, it may be a story, you have to write it within a word limit of 150 to 200 words. Okay, and that would be comprising of 10 marks. So second point that you have to keep in mind is it should have a compact plot. A story must have a beginning, a middle and an end. See, you have to separate these three parts, a story, because that will really be a compact plot. Number three, characters should be realistic. Even in fables, animals are made to speak like man. And that we have seen also, right? So in fables also, animals do have dialogues within themselves. So characters must seem to be very realistic. In a story, number four, the events should be narrated in a chronological order of sequence. Means first event, then the second event, then the third event, likewise, in a sequence rather. Number five, the story is generally narrated in third person narrative. That we also know, third person narrative. Number six, it should have an interesting conclusion. See, in any writing, the introduction, that means the beginning in this case, and the conclusion is very important, because we also as readers like to read a story that has a good conclusion, that has a fitting conclusion, right? So when we write it also should have an interesting conclusion. Number seven, there must be a variety in the description of people, places, thoughts and happenings. Adjectives and adverbs play important roles there. And last but not the least rule is a story must have a title. That is very, very important, because a story without a title gives nothing, because the title should be such that a reader can well understand what is there to read in the story, right? The title should be like that. It may also contain a moral message at the end. So in this syllabus, we are going to write a story with a title and a moral. So this was all about the rules and introduction of a story. But now I shall give you an example of a story and the question and the answer also. Many of you may know this story, girls, but still a known story is not very important. What is important is how to write it, how to write a beautiful story that a reader will get attracted to. Okay, so let us find out the question of the story writing. Write a story with the help of the following outline and give a suitable title and a moral to it. Now the points. An English young man became a soldier. The Second World War, sent to France, dreamt of his village. He was very sad, forced to fight, imprisoned by the enemy force, spent his youth in the prison, finally released from the prison, came back home. He was a changed man. The bird sellers, he bought all the birds. The birds were caged. He set the birds free. The birds flew in the sky. Bird seller wanted him to tell why he did so. He shared the pain of the birds. So I hope that with these points you have been able to frame a story in your mind already. But still, let us find out how to write it. Okay? Now, the title should be very important, as I had told you in the rules that a title of a story is very important, as the title, covers all the things being said in the story. Let us start with like this. The title is The Value of Freedom. Isn't it a befitting title to this story? Yes. A young man in England was very happy with his country life. He enjoyed nature's beauty, sowed the seeds in the fields, and worked hard for a good harvest. His cottage, though small, was covered with vines which glowed with the color of the setting sun. Then, Second World War broke out and he was summoned to go to France as a soldier. He boarded the train one day, leaving behind his beautiful cottage, green fields, clear azure sky, and the gentle breeze of his countryside. His country was defeated in the battlefield, and he was imprisoned for many years. He spent his youth in the prison, remembering his beautiful native land and dreaming of the time when he would soon enjoy freedom. The day finally came when he was released from prison. He was welcomed home and wandered in the countryside. A great change had occurred in him because he did not feel the same dizzy rapture that he once had. He thought how his imprisonment had robbed him of his gay abandon. He noticed a bird seller carrying many birds in cage. The soldier bought all the birds and set them free. He stood in the open field and saw the birds flying away in the sky with the sheer joy of freedom. The bird seller, utterly confused, asked the soldier the reason for doing such a silly thing. The soldier faintly smiled at him and replied, "I know how painful it is to be cooped up." Now there should be a moral to this story also, right? Right, girls? So the moral is freedom is everyone's birthright. Right? So this has been a beautiful story, and I hope that you have understood how to frame a story, how to begin a story, what should be its conclusion, and a title and a moral. Both these two things are very important for a story. So girls, this was all about your story writing, and now I shall give you 2 or 3 questions or stories to write at home for your practice. Yes, number 1 is, a young boy fell into bad company, parents unhappy. Father decided to teach a lesson, gave him some mangoes, told him to keep them aside, placed a rotten mango among them. The rotten ones spoiled the good ones. The boy realized, parents happy now. So you have to write out a story with this points given. You have to write a title to the story and also a moral. The second question will be, a merchant riding from fair, large amount of money with him. A heavy rainfall. The merchant got drenched, blamed God for his ill luck, attacked by a robber. The robber fired, but the gunpowder was wet. The merchant escaped, thanked God for rain. And the third one for your practice is, a slave in ancient Greece ran away to save himself from the cruelty of his master, came to a forest, saw a lion, the lion crying in pain, a thorn in his paw. Slave took away the thorn. The slave caught, ordered to be thrown in front of a hungry lion. Lion thanked him in gratitude. Everybody astonished. The slave was freed. So I hope you would be able to frame stories out of these 3 questions or outlines given. Thank you, and that's all.